Alright, here goes nothing. I've always wanted to try this though, but this could go either way. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this YouTube character called Uncle Roger. He's a really popular Malaysian comedian who does his skits in a Malaysian accent. And if you didn't know, I'm from Malaysia and I used to talk like that when I was a kid, guys. It's not even funny. So today I'm gonna do the intro in that accent and add in a little bit of a Singaporean English as well, better known as Singlish. And yes, I want to pay homage to this too because I spent a lot of my time in my childhood and early adult days in that. And if you're from those countries, this is a hi to you guys. And if you are not from there, well, you might be like, what the heck is this guy talking about? But anyways, let's do this. And scene. So, have you ever been alone, huh? And needed to film yourself, but are tired of these like boring handheld static stationary shot like this one lah, like this one. And I don't mean like filming for Tinder or OnlyFans, okay? Well, I guess, yeah, you can, but don't just get your dirty mind in the gutter. That's not where I'm getting at. But anyways, if you always wanted to have a personal cameraman to add more dynamism to your vlog, your training, or your performance tracking video for your workout, then this might be it. The PIVO Pod Active. It's a phone mount that tracks you, and when combined with some additional filming powers in its app, like this one right here, you see, I can move here, it follow me, come on this way. It has super awesome result lah, okay? So if you're curious what this PIVO Pod does, just watch this video, okay, uncle and auntie and sister and brother. So it's all that way, let's do it. So before we start talking about my likes and dislikes, I wanted to show you the PIVO Pod up close and what you can expect. This thing is nice and compact, very easy to take on the go. It's 6 centimeters across as well as 7.5 centimeters tall. And this thing is built well. The plastics are nice and grippy and can withstand scratches up to a point, so you know you can rub it off if it's not too deep. Here's the ratcheting head. It goes 360 degrees, of course, and at the top here is the phone mount and the tightening screw here. And you can mount it landscape or portrait-wise. And at the top here, there's a bubble level for what it's worth. And at the bottom, we have extending legs. So if this is placed on a surface that's not ideally flat, or you know there's going to be some wobble, you just extend the legs like so, and it adds a little bit more stability, which is nice to have. And at the bottom here, you have a 1/4 inch receiver side if you want to mount this on a tripod. And if you take off the phone mount at the top, you have a male side if you want to add any kind of attachments or a platform for studio filming. And that's pretty much it to it. At the front here, there is the power button. If you hold it down, some LED lights come on, and there you go. And the color changes depending on what mode it is. And the back side, if you spin it 180, right here is the logo and a micro USB charging port. And by the way, this unit weighs 177 grams, and according to the factory, the spin speed is 360 degrees in 4 seconds. I'm not sure where they got that number from because the fastest I was able to get was like 5 to 5.5 seconds at the quickest tracking speed at best. So take that number with a grain of salt. And also coming with the set is a remote control, guys. This thing can manually control this unit, and really without it, it's kind of handicapped. So with this, you can control the zoom in, zoom out, start, stop media, spinning this on its own, as well as changing modes. So it's nice to have it. And combined, this cost $150. One of my favorite things about the PIVO Pod is it's a versatile platform. You can use the tracker as is just with your phone, or you can plop it onto a tripod if you need more flexibility, or remove the phone holder like this and attach a studio platform on the 1/4 inch screw head like this for those light booth photo shoots. Now, the PIVO Pod is rated from the factory at 10 hours battery life, which to be honest is a little bit optimistic, but I was able to get 8.2 hours runtime in 70+ degree ambient temperature, and I'm talking about Fahrenheit here. In other words, it should pretty much last an entire day of being your unpaid cameraman. Which brings me to my next point. This kind of convenience, guys, for $150 is really not that bad of a proposition. Sure, in the short run, you can ask your friend to come out for a day or two to help you craft your, I don't know, Oscar-winning biopic for a 6-pack or something. But if you're doing daily vlogs or training videos, then the $150 pays for itself pretty darn quickly. As long as you're getting paid, of course. And last but not least, I want to show you some samples of this unit working together with the PIVO app or apps to offer you plenty of photo and video options to play around with. In particular, I want to point out the body and face tracking. Man, it's legit, yo. This PIVO Pod can do a lot of things. If you use the app, there's a lot of photo effects that you can, apply and such like that. But the biggest selling point, in my opinion, and that's the whole point of this video, is the vlogging tracking capabilities like this. So right now you can see this, it's tracking my body. You can set it to the face, especially if you're up close and personal. But right now, because of the height of the camera, if I come in too close like this, my face is cut off and it won't track. But right now, and it's set to body. And this is perfect for those of you who are doing like telecasts like this, or you're, trying to webcast your workouts for somebody to watch and such like that, or you're making a recording. This is excellent. They actually also market this as a horse training tool. If you're riding your horse, you can watch yourself, record yourself, have a trainer watch you from afar too. So that's all doable. Right now it's on the normal tracking speed. You can see it zooming in and out as well. Let me see how far it'll go. Yeah, it has a constraint. I'm not sure if it's like zoom constraint. I'm not sure if it's confined to the specs of the phone or the app itself. I should test this with another camera to see how it works. But let me change this out to aggressive, or frenzy as they call it, the fastest and the quickest. You'll see it jittery a little bit more. The video is not as smooth, so some of you might not like it, because the benefit is, look at this. It will track me. It will track me. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's awesome. Look at this. Oh yeah, it's hard to trick it up. Yeah. Now, I want to quickly mention that I'm using the PIVO Pod with the PIVO Plus app, and this is the recommended app stated on the box and in the manual. But the problem with that, and I'll talk about this in the negatives, but the quick version is the remote and also some of the photo effects don't work on the PIVO Plus app. It's not there. You have to use the older one called the PIVO Play, and I'll show you what that's like in a second. But as it is, the remote is supposed to be able to manually control. Right now it's set to auto to track, but you should be able to like switch it to turn it off and cycle through with a pause button, cycle through the different modes to turn it off, and then you can manually control. Nope, you can't. The only thing you can do is switch modes between camera and video, and that's about it. In terms of mounting the camera itself, I noticed that in landscape, like right now, this is off center. You can see the whole picture is off balance because I'm mounting it on the center line of my camera, my pinhole front facing camera with the center line of the PIVO Pod. That's ideal. That's what they recommend. So, the axis where it spins, you're not having this weird skewed effect of the picture. So, that's why I'm doing it. I think this is made specifically for portrait mode cameras, camera setup. So just bear that in mind. But if you have a thin enough camera, if the setup is fine, just go ahead and use this. This is really at a pinch. I'm using the Pixel 6, and it's like maybe 1 centimeter off the center. Any further to the center of the actual PIVO Pod, this thing is going to tip over and just fall out of the mount itself. And if you trust the camera itself, like, the tracking is awesome. Let me show you how well this thing tracks. I'm going to go off camera, and then I'll come back into frame. It says lost, but look at that, how quickly it just regains. I'm going to do that again. But my point is, if you do trust this system enough and you want a higher resolution image, just flip this around and use your main camera and then film that way. And you probably have the benefit of a better zoom as well. Okay, so I've switched over to the PIVO Play app, supposedly older one, and you can see how the remote works. Well, right now it's in automatic tracking. Let me turn it off and see. And I have to do recording the screen, because once this is recording, the app itself is recording, it won't allow you to manually adjust things. Like right now, let me turn it off. So you can see right now I'm manually moving the PIVO Pod left and right. So yeah, that's one thing that the PIVO Plus app doesn't do. So if you want a one-stop shop, let me go switch this back on, and now it's at body tracking, and let me try recording. See, now it's recording with the button and remote and everything. So it's tracking as it should. Hey Freckles, there's a dog next door that's always, Saint Bernard, that's always excited about what I do out here when we film. You can see how quickly this thing tracks too. It's no much different compared to the PIVO Plus. So ideally, you probably just want one app on your phone. So I would say install the older one instead of just PIVO Plus. If you want to have both, that's fine. I'm not sure how that affects firmware updates though, so I have to ask PIVO about that a little bit more. So you see, this is pretty good. This is pretty darn awesome. Let's see how the face tracking works as well. Let's pause this. and then, or stop this and then go to face tracking. So now it's face tracking, and this is really, really good. You can see the zoom is a little bit more aggressive here. It just focuses on your face, and you can see like in the background, people are coming in kind of like a newscast almost. You'll zoom in and out. It's pretty darn fast. I really like this. One thing that I'm not sure if this algorithm on the older app does the same is automatic HDR. So if you're standing in the shadow, supposedly it will brighten up the image so it has better contrast, visibility. But there you go. This is how it works. I really like it. Now, speaking of price, $150 we're talking about, this brings me to the talk of competition. In a vacuum, there's really not anything like the PIVO Pod hardware-wise, but there are such things called handheld gimbals that do the same through their own apps, and you can attach it to a tripod, you can have it stationary as well. They cost less and have the benefit of being stabilized when you're shooting on the go. The PIVO can do this with a tripod, but A, it's filming on a single horizontal plane, whereas the gimbal is like multiversing the heck out of things. And B, the PIVO won't have any kind of gimbal stabilization working in its favor. What is this? Are we still like cavemen using charging ports like this thing right here? Micro USB? It's like ancient tech that needs to die already. My final negative has to do with the app as well as trying to get the most out of your PIVO Pod. And I've not heard other reviewers talk about it yet, so maybe it's just me or something. And maybe this has something to do with the transition from the older app to the newer PIVO Plus app. So here's what I noticed. There's a disjoint of something between the advertised features that's shown on the website and as well as the ads like Tiny Planet or Mani-Me versus actual real-time use. The app that the manual in the box requires you to install, the PIVO Plus, doesn't include all those features. And I found that I had to install the older apps to get them. So, and then also worst of all, within those sub apps, I have to pair the device each time. What the heck, man? What the heck? If you haven't watched the samples from earlier, you should definitely check it out because once you do, guys, you'll know that the PIVO Pod offers a lot of fun and creativity over your standard static shots. It's a lot of fun for $150. Sure, it's a little bit pricey. I would prefer it if it was like 120, 125 bucks. It would be more palatable. But as it is, it's really well kitted and well made and solid. Sure, you can say that the gimbal is a good option, but I would also say something I haven't mentioned yet is the gimbal is noisy. This thing, the motor is nice and quiet, so when you're recording audio too, this won't pick up any kind of motor noises, which is great. So with all that said, I want to give the PIVO Pod Active a GearUP score of 7.9 out of 10, and this is how I broke it down to get a final score. If you have any questions about it, feel free to comment down below. Down there. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this, and my name is Aaron Leong for GearUP. If you like what I do, if you like to see more videos like this, show your support, mash and kill that button down below, subscribe and share this with your friends and family. Remember to thumbs up if you like this video and comment nicely down below. You can visit my Patreon page too if you like, and remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, guys, because guess what? The world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love y'all, God bless, and peace out. Whoosh. So if you're curious what this PIVO Pod does, just watch this video, okay, uncle and auntie and sister and brother. So it's all that way. Let's do it. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, children, that was bad. Why would you ever want to watch this video ever again, this channel? I don't blame you. Jeez.